Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. What is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I be. Good Doc, Dr. Mike TV. Back again, once again. You should already know, ladies and gentlemen, that this one here is poised to be an instant classic in the making. But if this is by far your first time to the Dr. Mike TV experience, make sure you subscribe, make sure you notify, make sure you do all the good things to make yourself well versed in the Good Docs content. All my good stuff shall be listed in the link in the description area below. Official time check, ladies and gentlemen. We'll say close to about 9 o'clock, about 8:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which makes it about what, 7:57, 8 o'clock Central Time, which makes it about what, close to 6 p.m. for everybody repping that West Coast. And of course, 9 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. Wherever you guys are reporting in the world today, Madami, Salamat, Salahat, and thank you guys for joining the Good Doc on this live show today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, earlier today, I put out a video for you guys, right? Quick little vid to try to get you guys this, to give you a little bit of insight into my own thoughts in reference to about the amount of money that you could potentially need when you're traveling abroad. Now, again, I understand completely. Everybody's rule of thumb will be different, right? Not everybody follows the same rule of thumb when it comes to the amount of money needed in, other countries outside of the United States. I kind of felt as though my perspective is one of very many, but I also wanted to give you guys an opportunity to at least share in your own thoughts if you have your own thoughts about how much money you could potentially need when you're traveling abroad. I am going to open the floor up soon, but if you guys want to throw that one in the chat, by all means, I would highly appreciate that. But again, I want you guys to understand that when it comes to traveling and living in the Philippines or living abroad, that's always two differing perspectives when it comes to how much money you're going to potentially need, right? I kind of referenced a quick 30-day trip, 30 days or less in reference to that trip. How much money I think you could potentially need. Again, my number in that particular video was 100 US dollars a day. Now, to some who have traveled before, to those that are veterans in this travel game, veteran passport brothers, the best way for me to say it is they would probably look at me like I done lost my damn mind. And I get it. I understand completely why you would think that $100 a day would be absolutely blasphemous, right? But then again, I'm channeling my inner new passport brethren mentality, wherein I feel as though them not having any understanding about the country they're going to, them not having any understanding about the way things are set up, them not understanding how the finances work in a foreign country, how far their money could go, what their money could actually buy them, not really knowing that particular aspect of it. I kind of feel like $100 a day gives them a good starting point. Do I believe it should be higher or lower? That's why I got you guys here tonight. Again, I have my theories of why I would say that. And again, I want you to understand that most of my experiences that I'm channeling are coming from the Philippines, of course, time spent in that country. Again, maybe in Latin America, Central America, South America, those particular areas will have differing understandings of how much money you're going to need. Maybe the currency exchange rate isn't as good as it is in a place like the Philippines, right? But I do want to make sure that I note that the money that I'm talking about specifically is your play money, right? I don't want you to think that this $100 a day is also inclusive of, where you're going to stay at. This is more so for food, fun, and entertainment. Let me make sure that I note that the 3 F's, food, fun, and entertainment. Oh, damn, 2 F's and the E, food, fun, and entertainment, right? This is different as opposed to throwing in the $100 a day to also include housing, because again, guys, that right there could be definitely difficult. All right. But again, guys, I'm just here to open the floor up, man. I want to hear what you guys have to say about how much money you potentially think that a newbie, we're not talking about my OG veterans out there, but my new guys traveling to the Philippines or traveling to South America. If you've ever been in any of those other countries, I think that you can have a good baseline of a number that newbies should start with, right? Again, for me personally, $100 a day in the Philippines seems like a good starting point. I understand that there's going to be fluctuation in that depending on the type of fun you like to have Depends on the type of activities you like to indulge in. If you like to eat your American foods and go to your American restaurants, understand to an extent you're going to end up paying American prices. So again, all of that taken into consideration is also going to determine what kind of budget you want to set up for yourself, right? I know for myself, I'm a local guy, but again, this comes with years of experience in the country. So again, when I say $100 a day, I'm looking at you like you're crazy as fuck. But I have to understand that my newbies don't understand this shit. You're not going to understand what you like. You're not going to understand how to adjust accordingly and all of that good shit until you're actually in country, until you've actually been there for a little bit and you kind of got a feel for, you know, what you like and what you dislike, how much the activities you like to partake in is going to cost you, aka how much those bar fines are going to cost you if we're going to keep it a buck. You know, all of that stuff could potentially be factored into how you pretty much choose the type of budget that you want to set for yourself. Right? Some people may say $100 is pretty much on the low end. Again, I just believe it's a good starting point. And when you realize that $100 a day didn't go as far as you thought it would, add a little bit more, right? In my video, I said you could, go up to as much as $200 a day. That's almost 10,000 Philippine pesos a day. If I had access to that type of budget, I'm telling you right now, the good doc would lose his mind. All right. But for my newbies, it could be just the funds necessary to get yourself acclimated and adjusted to the country. And I do believe that the same rules apply anywhere in the world that you guys choose to travel. So I want to shout out to my people. Chosen One, what's going on, bro? Oscar, I see you, man. My man Earl Owens, all the way from Tacoma, Washington. You like to believe that $100 a day is a low budget. Damn, bro, I want your kind of money. I want you guys to understand, though, where my energy comes from in reference to setting a budget. You guys got to understand, I grew up over there. I had that college lifestyle for myself. So I was living the college life, right? I was adjusting myself accordingly based on the college life. So I understand that my mentality is going to be different and my amount of money is going to be different because I had to work with my allowance as I had it. Right. So that kind of set the trend for me evaluating and adjusting what was important to me, what wasn't important to me. And that came with years of me staying in the country, too. Right. This came with me living in the country for a significant period of time. But like I said, guys, I'm channeling my inner newbie, my inner new traveler, my thoughts on, OK, man, I want to do every fucking thing humanly possible my first time around so that I can say that I had these experiences. How much is that going to cost you on a daily rate? How long are you staying? Usually, if it's about a couple of weeks or so, I think you could pretty much have a good balance of $100 a day not being nothing, $200 a day not being anything to you to be able to spend that type of money on like a 2-week vacation. But once you transcend and you start to transition in your 30-day stay, and then you start to do it for months at a time, and you realize, okay, man, maybe I shouldn't be dropping $200 a day. Again, if you got it like that, Doc ain't gonna come between you and your funds. But maybe you'll start to think, all right, man, maybe I could cool down a little bit. Maybe I could fall back a little bit. Maybe I don't have to spend that type of money on a daily basis, right? Maybe I can, figure out what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And then again, you got to make sure if you're in the Philippines, you guys know that you have 29 days from the time that you touch down to basically get your additional 30-day visa while you're in the country. So again, you have to be able to plan for shit like that. I mean, there's always the little intricate details about your trip, your travel, and your experience, the fun, the entertainment, and the food, and all of that good jazz that you got to make sure that you plan for, and you have to make sure your money is definitely sufficient for. Oscar says $100 was good for me and my wife to have fun in Manila, but again, we rented a condo a month at a time. Right now, you guys know that if you're renting condos a month at a time, that definitely significantly brings down the amount of money that you're going to spend in your stays. But if you're an Airbnb type of guy, maybe you're in Boracay one day, or maybe you're in Manila the next, you're sliding on over to Cebu, you want to check out the good doc in Davao when he's there, if you're island hopping, bouncing around, you got to be able to pay for your tickets, right? You got to be able to do all this extra shit that I do believe that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about ticket purchases, when you're thinking about how much money you should allocate for a great abundance of a trip abroad, right? I mean, again, like I said, everybody's going to be different. I am the type of guy, I like to ball on a budget, 100%. You can ask the wife. The last time we went to Cebu, she set up all of our tour packages, right, for us to go to, if we wanted to go island hopping, or the time that we went with her friends at the time, we went to the Oslo, excuse me, a whale fucking swimming and shit. I didn't get a chance to do it, but again, like, doing the tour packages and stuff like that, getting those package deals, that stuff plays a significant role in significantly reducing your price of doing things. Getting on the bus, traveling to where we needed to go, going back and forth. The last time we were in Cebu, we kept it pretty much central. We didn't really go too far. Where we stayed at was walking distance from the night market there. So again, all the activities we did partake in at that particular time, it was very close. Oh God, excuse me. Anyways, that sneeze was coming. But again, like I said, you have to think about what you're looking to get out of your experience. And I would tell you guys, first things first, as dumb and as corny and as retarded or whatever you want to call it as it sounds, make a list of the shit you want to do. Make a list for the issue you want to do, right? Look, if you've seen a video of mine or you've seen a video from one of your vloggers and they were like, yo, man, I went to this place, man, XYZ, man, this place is popping. I like it over here. Y'all should check it out. Budget that into your trip, because usually at the end of these videos, if they're really doing their vlogging any justice, what are they going to do? Tell you how much they spent. So, you're going to be able to have a decent understanding or at least an idea of how much you're going to spend on your trip or doing a particular activity if you're following an activity that a vlogger recommended, right? So, you guys just got to think, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I'm looking to accomplish? What is it that I'm looking to be fulfilled from when it comes from this particular trip, right? And again, like I said, when you rent condos months at a time, that significantly reduces the amount of money you spend on your accommodations. But if you're like some guys, like I said, Airbnb here, there, 1 week in this country, not this country, but 1 week in this city, 5 days in this city, 3 days over here, and you're bouncing around, you got to understand, you got to acclimate your budget for something like that. All right. I see you guys in the building. If you haven't already dropped your like, man, make sure y'all drop a like for the good Doc. I'd really appreciate that one. Y'all know the rules, man. Make sure y'all caress, molest, and de-stress yourself all over that like button. Wants and needs and most definitely has to have it. You guys want to support in any capacity, please feel free to do so. But like I said, man, Doc is happy and blessed that y'all choose to come through and spend a little bit of time with him today. All right. Chosen one, you say $3,500 for the bar girl, $3,000 for the hotel, $1,000 for drinks, food, plus $2,000 for miscellaneous. Miscellaneous 100 sounds about right. So, like I said, man, $100 a day is not too far fetched. But the thing is, I know now, like I said in my video before, the dollar is going a lot further than it once did when I was there, right? We're talking about 58. I don't know what the exact exchange rate in the Philippines is today, but I do know that it's definitely strong for us foreigners bringing our foreign currency in. But I don't know if they've gone up on the bar fines in certain areas or anything as a result of the inflation rates. But again, like I said, this is just something that you have to keep in, or I should say, take into consideration when you're plotting and planning and scheming and doing whatever it is for you to have one of those fun-filled trips to wherever it is you choose to travel in the world. Terry, what's going on, man? He says, how many days do they have to spend this money? I would say my rule of thumb in my video was, if you were going to stay for 30 days or less, I would recommend having at least access to $100 a day. Again, I understand that's going to fluctuate, but I would say if you're staying in the Philippines for 30 days or less, we'll just call it a month flat or less, I would acclimate, or I would give myself, I should say, $100 a day. Nothing less than that as a newbie. Let me make sure I note that. As a new person to the country, me and the wife, I doubt we would spend $100 a day, because she would look at me like I'm crazy and I would look at her like she crazy, because she know I don't spend money like that. So unless it's a planned trip, like, if we ever decided to go to Boracay or like Palawan or some shit like that, that's the kind of money you're expected to spend in this particular area. At that point, it's almost an expectation. Like I said, if you're traveling and or looking to visit these particular areas, I kind of feel like you have to set aside more than $100, right? It's just not gonna fit. Shit just ain't gonna work, right? But that's just the way that I like to look at it. What's going on, man? He says it all depends on your lifestyle, or what your lifestyle would be. My budget was pretty big in BGC. You have to have a big budget in BGC for sure. He says I was there for 6 weeks, $35,000, which included a lawyer retainer fee and a flight purchase for Christmas. Damn, bro. You know what? I do have to ask, sir. I do have to ask. The lawyer on retainer. Can you please explain to me why you need a lawyer on retainer? I'm trying to make sure that I understand the full reason why. Right? I acclimate for travel insurance and making sure that all of your stuff is, taken care of, and making sure that you have insurances just in case flights don't go through. Christmas time is definitely a little fickle, and making sure you catch flights on time, man. That could be a little iffy, flying around the holiday season. So you're going to want to make sure that your tickets are, ironclad, and you can switch it or change it anytime that you need to. So I'm 100% down with travel insurance and all of that good jazz. But the need for the lawyer or retainer, unless I plan on getting into some fuckery, my friend, I don't know. I'll be the need for a lawyer. But again, I'm open, man. I want to hear that one for sure. Shout out to my boy Philly. What's up, man? He says, assuming your logic is paid already. Exactly. In this particular case, $100, which is roughly about $5K, should be lasting you at least 2 to 3 days. If you don't, you say y'all doing too much. Hey, man, Philly, I'm telling you, I am taking this into consideration. My new guys, right? Newbies are a little different. We have to treat them a little differently, and the reason we have to treat them a little differently is because this is a new game to them. This is not something they've done before. So as a result, it's almost like, okay, man, I can't sit there and say, because I can live off an X amount on a daily basis, that they should be able to do it too. I kind of feel like I'm not in a safe space to be able to say that, because everybody's numbers are going to be different. Like my man Kiki said earlier, man, he was like, look, man, he said 35,000. That's a lot of money. But again, there's justifications behind the reason why you need to spend that type of money, or since you've already been there before, the reason why you need to have that certain type of money. And again, in BGC, man, anything goes. And for me, I really would not argue with any amount of money that you plan to spend in the BGC area, because of how, I would like to say, how it's a ritzy area, man. It's a pretty decent area, and it's not for just your average everyday foreigner. It's a beautiful place, right? Everybody who's visited there didn't even think that a place like that existed in the Philippines, with all of the stuff that some of the vloggers showed. A lot of people wouldn't even believe the place exists. But like I said, channeling my inner newbie traveler, what is it that these guys are going to want to know? What is it that these guys feel they're going to need in reference to, travels and shit abroad? He says, is this just for a single person, or will the person have company on some of these activities? Likely they're going to be by them. They'll probably wouldn't be by themselves. Let me stop lying. Probably they're going to want somebody to show them around. Again, channeling my inner foreigner, my inner newbie traveler. It's going to be hard for me to believe that they're going to be traveling by themselves. So I want to make sure that I include a partner in there as well. Again, like I said, when you're dealing with two people, maybe you could jump that number up to 200, 100 per person. Again, everybody's numbers are going to be different, but I'm here to hear what you guys got to say. All right. Shout out to my man. What's going on with you, brother? Oscar, he says, for a single gentleman, if you're not enjoying the private contract, he said, for the single gentleman, if you're not enjoying the private contract the nightly and staying swerved and traveling island to island, then it's good. If you're tricking to the max, then 200 might be your zone. Again, where there's no off time, man. Like I said, there's no off season for a lot of these guys. And as a result, man, it's just definitely something we have to say. All right. He said getting around on track alone may cost you 500 to 1,000 pesos a day. Yes. Ubers, Grabs, and shit like that could also be costly as well. All right. I guess that might be trikes if you're just literally using them all the time. No taxis, no nothing. I'm gonna push you on in a minute, pimping. I'm gonna put out the link in just 1 second, guys. I gotta take care of something first, and then I will bring everybody on. Just give me a second. He said AC for me to get around is 200 there and 200 back. That sounds about right, about 400. It just depends on where you're traveling to, but I can see that being a thing. He says lawyer retainer was because I purchased a condo. There you go. Lawyer retainer is for future business. He said I'll be a permanent resident in June 2024. That all makes sense. All right. No need to further explain, my friend. Out of curiosity, he said, without going to any specific numbers, what's the most you've treated yourself and your lady to in the Philippines? Any 5-star reserves first class? Yeah, man. Babe, what was the most expensive thing we've ever done in the Philippines? Like where we've eaten at or anything like that? I can't remember because we never did shit like that. I don't know. I have no fucking clue. Huh? Just the two of us. Yes, me and you. What is the most money we ever spent on like going out or doing anything? Guys, I'm asking the wife. She knows. I don't know.
Probably that New Year that we didn't leave Davao and we ate at
Hold on.
Huckleberry.
You think that was the most we ever spent? Oh, that was just one of the nicest places we ever.
Two of us, yeah.
I forgot how much did we spend? Too much. It was enough, I guess. I can't remember. But yeah, me and the wife, we don't do a lot of that expensive shit, bougie shit. Eventually, we might get into that lifestyle. You know, I might change my ways a little bit. But guys, give me a minute, yo. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. All right, y'all, my bad. I had to go take care of something real quick. But yeah, I can't really give you the numbers, man. I want to say that was at least 5+ years back. I want to say so. Yeah. But we never really did anything super expensive or balled out. So I can honestly say never done that at all. K Dallas, what's up, bro? He said, I took my girl to Boracay, easily spent $100 a day. Yeah, Boracay, Palawan, places like that. I can almost have a general expectation that that's the type of money you can expect to spend. All right. So if any of you guys want to come through, have a conversation with Doc, I'm gonna go ahead and post the link. For all of my newbies who I can tell you that I'm not familiar with, I would appreciate y'all camming up. If you're not gonna cam up, I'm cool with that. But just make sure you keep the conversation respectful. You know, I just want to make sure we're not getting into anything crazy. But yeah, gladly have you guys on. But you definitely got to talk about your budget, how much you think you're gonna need, anything like that. That would be pertinent to the conversation, man. I think that everybody's opinion on things are always going to be different, which is why I'm very interested to hear what a budget for yourself would look like as opposed to a budget for myself. You know, being a new guy, being a new foreign traveler to any country that you're looking to go to. Maybe you've been to if any of you guys have ever been to not that's well, I'm about to say Southeast Asia. If any of you guys have ever been to South America, right? Your Brazils, your DRs, your Colombias. I would definitely love to know what those numbers would look like for guys looking to travel to those particular areas. I think that'd be extremely beneficial. Everybody's budget again is going to be different. So, like I said, I want you to make sure that you channel it into yourself. But if you've been there for a long enough time, what do you think would be a fair number for newbies coming into the country, or a fair amount of cash that they should carry? Again, like I said, I'm not a big fan of carrying a lot of cash, right? I'm not a big fan of the extra wads of cash, right? But also, I come from a bank that is very sensitive, as in if my card is triggered, I can tell you right now. What was it? Of course, you guys know I'm in North Carolina. I went to go visit my father down in South Carolina, and I had to use the ATM down there, and they buzzed me up quick, called me up, talk about, oh, did you use your ATM debit card ending number blank, blank, blank at the CVS pharmacy at this particular location? I mean, they was going hard, like they were really on it. So for me, if I was ever going to have a plan to use my debit card internationally, bro, I would have to tell them, because they're going to honestly think that somebody got access to my shit. They may try to keep my card. Who knows, right? So if that's the case and you want to try to use the debit card, go ahead. If any of you guys have access to any of those international credit cards, I think those are pretty dope. I've heard a lot of people that, tell me that those are pretty good. Again, I wouldn't be too quick to would be too quick to jump on shit, or be quick to use credit cards, or be quick to use stuff unless I really swear by it. Terry, I'm cheap, bro. He said, yeah, my bank. He said, your bank know you don't spend money. Oh yeah, they know that shit. They like, this motherfucker spent how much and where? Oh hell, not Karen. I said, we got to call this man right now. I said, when the last time he made a deduction from his bank account? What's going on over here? Right, it's a whole sound the alarm type situation, man. I was triggering the system and all types of shit. But also, unless you guys bank with one of those cards or debit cards, or you bank with a bank that gives you back your transaction fees, you can almost expect to pay $5 per transaction fee abroad. I think that's usually about the average, $5 US, 250 pesos. That's about how much they charge to make withdrawals. And certain banks will allow you to take out up to 20,000 pesos. Other banks will allow you to take out up to 25,000 pesos. I think that's the max I've seen so far. It could be a little higher, but the most I've ever seen any bank dish out as far as money in a one transaction was about 25,000 pesos. Right. So if you are a big baller shot caller, I would rather you bring your money with you. But again, I am extra sensitive about that, because you have to think, all right, if I'm in an Airbnb or I'm in a hotel, I don't trust anybody enough to leave my money in the room. So now I have to take it out with me. And now you're running the risk of anything happening. You guys know how it is. You run the risk of anything happening. Maybe you lose it. Hopefully that would never happen, knock on wood. You run the risk of losing it, somebody stealing it. I mean, there's so much that goes into carrying large amounts of cash. It makes me nervous to my stomach. That's why I never do it. Luckily for me, I have access to my Philippine bank accounts. Of course, in the Philippines, I have 2 of them. So luckily I can get my money as I need it. But if I were a newbie that don't have that type of access, I need to really figure out what's going to work best for me. Keep taking it out as I need and paying these additional charges, because sometimes they only pay up to a certain amount of ATM fees before they say, yo, you just got to eat them charges after a while. So again, like I said, man, there's a lot that goes into it, especially if you're not just going to carry large lump sums of cash on you. But again, there's always a lot to think about when it comes to how much money you should bring with you abroad, how much money you should make sure you have access to. Are we doing a mix of credit cards? Are we doing a mix of just debit cards? Are we just going to take all the money that we have cash wise and just go to your God dang, what are they called? Money changers, my bad. And do it like that. I mean, damn, there's so many different things to consider. I am a world remit guy. I send money to my bank account or world remit, and that's pretty much it. He said, please tell your bank you're going to the Philippines, or else they might flag your account and you're stuck. Oh, yeah. I've had my account flagged one time in my entire life. I think something happened. I know exactly what happened. I just don't want to talk about that one. But yeah, I've had my account flagged one time, and I think it took them about 30 days, man, for me to gain access back to my account. Bro, that was the longest 30 days of my life. That's the longest 30 days of my life. Thank God I had 2 accounts, right? But then again, I couldn't move money from one account to the next. I called them. I told them everything that was going on. They did this whole investigation. I mean, it was the longest 30 days of my life, and they were holding my shit, right? When your account's on hold, I mean, it's a lot that goes into it. So yes, like my man Oscar says, please make sure you tell your bank where you go, okay? It's not going to end well if you're using your card overseas and you didn't tell them that you plan to travel anytime within a certain period of time. As a matter of fact, they know that I travel to the Philippines so much that my bank, even on my mobile app, they ask me, do you have any planned trips coming up? And they might ask everybody that, of course, but I think if you're known to be a traveler, or I've called and told them before and they kind of know about the time frames that I normally travel, they usually ask me that. right? So again, make sure your bank knows. He says, always tell your financial institution you're going overseas. Had my card canceled in 2015 in the Philippines. Definitely a stressful situation. Oh yeah, it's enough to make your stomach turn, man, because you don't know what's going to happen to the money. You know, you just keep looking at your account every day, making sure nothing's going missing. You know, your financial institution. For me, like I said, I use an online bank. That makes it even worse because sometimes, to an extent, it can be difficult to reach out and touch people. You know what I'm saying? You can't really go to a like if you're with certain types of banks that are traditionally online now. That leads to a problem because you don't know exactly when the hell they're gonna get back to you. You don't know how they're gonna get back to you. You don't know what's going on. You know, whenever your cards are canceled or your account's on hold, there's no worse feeling than when you can't access cash. So now you have to, in one way or another, reach out to a friend or somebody that you trust to send you money. There's just too much that goes into it. Not to make your head spin, man, for sure. My man says, don't bring lump sums of cash. Just don't do it. I agree 100%. But you have to make sure in one way or another you have access to money. In whatever way you choose to do that, Doc can't tell you how to operate your life. I can just tell you what I use. You can also, like I said, I use World Remit. For me, I send it to my bank account, but you can send it to any money changer or any money pickup spot or any what do they call them shits? They call them come on, Doc, get it together. Where OFW send money home. They call those are different types of exchanges as well. So it's almost as if you sending money to yourself from the United States to the Philippines is kind of using the same, access that OFWs would use to send money to the Philippines. Cebuana, LBC, Palawan Express, Cebuana, Luwilier, all that shit. You can always send money to yourself. Just make sure you got your passport. I did that one time and it pissed me off because they took forever. Had to verify my passport and all that shit. It was a lot, but again, I really didn't have an issue getting it. They just took their time giving it to. He says, don't bring American Express travelers checks with you. Most places don't let you change those except Western Union. I'm not a big check guy, but again, travelers checks, cashier checks. Unless you go into a bank like a BDO, I know they take them. I'm not sure about Metro Bank, and I'm not sure about any of the other banks, Land Bank, East West Bank. I assume they do, but it could be an issue. So checks, although they are pretty safe, they may also pose problems as well. I think the biggest thing that I've ever really heard foreigners go through in reference to their finances when it comes to living in a place like the Philippines, once you've chosen to live that life and once you've chosen to put that in the forefront of your mind, the guys that have actually chosen to live there, I do believe that one of the biggest issues they've had is the renewal of their credit cards, right? I heard a lot of guys have issues with getting access to their credit cards in the Philippines, or when it's being mailed to them, something happens, it gets lost in the mail. Come to find out, the card's being charged, and you're not even sure what the hell is going on. I've heard people have to cancel cards that way. So, I mean, you got to understand. And I try to make sure that I say this with the most, I try to make sure I say this with intent, with passion, but also with understanding. You got to understand there are going to be some sacrifices when it comes to moving abroad. Once you make that move official, more official than a whistle, bruh, there are going to be some times when things are going to get ugly. There are going to be some times where you're going to go through it. And let's say you're still trying to have one foot in the United States, aka a bank account in the United States or something to that effect, and you have to try to get new cards and all of that shit when your stuff expires, it starts to become an issue. But one thing that I would say is I'm lucky enough to have family. Of course, here in Carolina, if I was in the Philippines, wherein I can have the card sent to them, I would have them take a picture of the card front and back so that I could buy my shit online. Because it's very rare that I go to an ATM using my actual debit card because it freaks me out. But as long as I have access to the card, I can send my money via World Remit. Like I told you guys, I could order my new cards from my phone. So it's not as if that would be an issue as long as there's somebody there to get my card, take a picture of it so I know my numbers. It'll never be a problem. But again, if you don't have that type of access and you don't have nobody that you could trust to have your card sent to, and you got to find a way to get it to you in the Philippines, you run a hell of a lot of risk, y'all. You run a hell of a lot of risk. He says, I also recommend bringing multiple cards just in case. True. I would say bring a couple of debit cards, different banks. Of course, because I wouldn't want to put two debit cards from the same bank. I think that's a little tough. Two debit cards from different banks and at least one credit card. For me, I think that would work. I mean, if you could do more and you feel comfortable with more, 100%, you do that. But for me, I think two debit cards and then a credit card would also be ideal because I can still buy my plane tickets online via my credit card, no problem. So again, it is all about how you choose to travel, my friends, and how much money you think you're going to be needing when you choose to travel abroad. Charles Schwab, I hear that a lot. No ATM fees. I have heard that as well. BPI bank, you can withdraw up to 20,000. Other banks will let you withdraw 10. Okay, so it's not 25. It's been a while since I've withdrawn that amount of money, not coming from my Philippine bank account. But 20K not bad. 20K, about $400 or so. That's not a bad chunk of change. Now, if you're running through 20K a day, god dang, bro, we gotta talk to you. We gotta talk to you. Because I think up to a certain point, though, they may actually start not flagging the account, but if you take out certain amounts of money that frequently, I don't know, man. People really start to get fickle and they start to look a little different when they be like, yo, why is this man pulling out 20,000 pesos every single day? They may actually block the card just for you doing that, even if it's not for any nefarious reasons whatsoever. People might start to pull your accounts based off of that. So you really have to be careful about how you choose to function around ATMs and banks and shit. I mean, there is too much that goes into this thought. I mean, bro, you have got to figure it all out. Like I said, I lived there. I was lucky enough to be able to get an account and lucky enough to be able to keep an account. So for me, I can send my money to my Philippine bank account, go to the ATM, withdraw it, no problem. But for guys that have to access their American cards, like the Charles Schwab, of course, or if you're doing, any type of card that doesn't have any ATM fees, my particular bank reimburses my ATM fees. It becomes an issue, right? But like I said, if we're talking about the $200 a day, or $200 a day, which is roughly about 10K, if that is the number in which we are operating on, well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be accessing your bank account every couple of days, right? If you can only take out a max of 20K and you go through 10 a day, I mean, this is just a scenario, guys, only an example, not saying that's what it's going to be. But if you're going through that type of money, well, guess what? You're going to be accessing that ATM quite often, and that's going to look real sus. That's all I'm going to tell you, bro. You're going to start looking real suspect, right? I would say it would be cool, like my man Kiki said, have multiple cards. If you're going to do one card one day and then the next card the other days, that's the beauty of having multiple cards for your accounts, but still, it look a little sus. That's all I'm going to tell you. He says, I don't do that every day. He said, I'm just saying it's the data limit. Oh, I know. I'm only giving the scenario. If you are the type that spends $200 a day and, the limit is 20K, and we'll say that on average, $200 is equal to about 10K, you're going to run through the amount of money that you just taken out of that ATM within a couple of days only. Right. And that's going to be a little, like I said, when you start to actually look at it, I would hope that before your account starts to dwindle, before your account starts to really turn colors from green to red, I would hope that you would catch yourself, slow down a little bit. But again, I understand that if you want to catch yourself, I do understand the idea behind bringing all the cash that you need for your vacation. I don't recommend it because, as I tell you guys, it's very difficult. It's very challenging. And there's a lot that you have to think about when it comes to safeguarding your actual funds, your money, when you carry it in cash. But in reality, if you bring that cash and once that cash run out and you don't do anything else, so you access the ATMs only when you need them, that probably would put things into perspectives for yourself. At least I'm praying that you'd be able to put it in perspective. Yo, god dang, man, I just blew through $5,000. I just blew through $3,000 and I ain't even been here 2 weeks. Sheesh. Come on now. Shit sound crazy, right? Shout out to my man, Mr. Lion. What's going on, brother? He says, is there a website where one can determine where the ATMs are in a given locale? Hmm. Well, the thing about it is, for me personally, there's so many different ATMs or access to ATMs that I'm not sure if there's an app that's necessary. But if you're the type of person where you're in a rural, and I always say that word, fuck, the rural, RURAL, a more provincial area, then probably you're gonna need to know where the ATMs are located. But usually they have ATMs pretty much all over any city, of course. And as long as the ATM is compatible to a Visa, MasterCard, or whatever the type of cards you have, which most of mine are MasterCard. As long as it says that it takes a MasterCard, it doesn't matter. You could put your card in that ATM machine. There shouldn't, let me make sure I preface this. Let me back up. There shouldn't be an issue with you putting your card in that ATM machine, right? So if you're in the provincial areas, I can understand that. But for the most part, there shouldn't be an issue with you putting your money into any of these ATM machines, I'm sorry, your ATM card in these ATM machines. Like I said, as long as you tell them that you plan on leaving, plan on getting, I think you'll be all right. He said, my first time I came, I bought a lot of cash and got robbed within 2 weeks. I can completely understand why that is the worst idea out of all of them, to bring all that cash with you. I get it. Because there's very few things you could do to safeguard yourself. I mean, honestly, if you think about how mind-numbingly crazy you would go trying to figure out how to safeguard your cash while in the Philippines, if you come with all cash, you'll probably lose your shit. Because, like I said, if you do an Airbnb, if you do a hotel, anything like that, you can't trust the money in that location, right? You can't trust to leave your valuables in that location. Laptops, you might have to take the risk. If you're a person that carries around a drone or something like that, and that's how you get your vlog on, you carry around lots of bags and shit, it's going to be tough for you to be able to lug this shit around everywhere that you go, right? But your bonies, your peta, your pesos, whatever it is, it's going to be hard to safeguard that shit. There's nothing you could do to safeguard it because there's nothing that you could do to keep it safe. Oh, let me put it in a hotel safe inside my hotel. Bad idea. Let me put it in a lock sack. A lot of people like the lock sack shit. Not always the greatest idea. You can lock sack it to the post or the bed or some shit, but unless that bed is pretty much like bolted to the floor, if they'll find a way to lift that bag up, even if you tie it to a post or some shit. I'm pretty sure if they want to find a way, they will. Depends on how much time they got. Bad idea. Take it with you out there on the streets because you feel safer with it physically on your body than you do leaving it in a location where you're not sure what's going to happen to it. Chances are you lose that bag, somebody snatched that bag. It's not that you're flashing it, but heaven forbid somebody becomes aware that you're out here fucking carrying around large sums of money like they believe most foreigners do anyways, you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure, man. Little street kids run a little scheme on you. I've never seen them get anybody for large amounts, but still, man, they travel in bunches, man. They gonna scheme you. They gonna plot on you. They may not know what you got, but at the end of the day, somebody grabbing at your pockets and shit, hey, sir, hello, Joe, I need some money, some shit like that. And you try to pat one of away or your eyes are over here and somebody's got your shit. I mean, bro, there's a lot that goes into it, man. That's why I am completely 100% on board not bringing that much cash with you, but you got to have access to physical cash in one way or another. That's just the way that I look at it. I honestly believe that you should probably carry no more than about I know it sounds, maybe I think $1,000 physical cash, $400, $500 to $1,000 physical cash, and then you just make sure that you have access to other cash. That seems to be a logical number if you're gonna go the cash route. All right. He says, with my 2 credit union, that card only worked with China Bank. Damn. Oh, you said with your credit union, that card only worked at China Bank. Hey, man, sometimes you got to go to HSBC, the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank of China. Yeah, sometimes they only fuck with that international. I mean, for me, I was lucky enough to be able to use my card at any ATM, but that's a very good thing to think about. And I think that's what my man, Mr. Lion here, was talking about. I didn't know that certain cards only worked at certain banks. I know that mine works at any general bank. Like, as long as it says MasterCard on it, my shit work at any bank that services MasterCard, right? It don't matter where it is in the world. I have used my Philippine bank card here in the United States without issue, as long as it said MasterCard on it. That's why I was like, damn, that sucks. But you just got to make sure that you have access to that type of shit. Anyways, guys, I see a couple of you guys in the building. If you haven't already dropped your like, man, y'all make sure y'all drop that like. Make sure y'all caress, molest, and do stretch stuff all over that like button. It wants it, needs it, most definitely has to have it. If you guys want to support in any capacity, please feel free to do so. But like I said, man, happy and blessed y'all choose to come through, spend a little bit of time with the good doc today. Now and then, back to business as usual. What number works for you, my friends? What number works for you? Always the best way to start. If you are a new guy, and I had to break this down for you in the simplest. Oh, they have MasterCard and Visa. You just have to find the banks that service Visa, right? That's pretty much it. Usually it says MasterCard and Visa. I think I've only been to maybe one or two bank ATM locations wherein they only service Visa cards. I think that's only ever happened to me twice, where I've only seen an ATM machine, that was only for MasterCard and Visa wasn't accepted. But yes, if you have a Visa, you should be able to find an ATM that will allow you to withdraw money out of it. No problem whatsoever. Because I know for a fact when my mom was there and she was visiting, I think her card was a Visa card, and she was able to get money, no problem, no issue. But yeah. Anyways, I was about to tell y'all a story, and I think I forgot. But yeah, for my newbies, that's right. I was just gonna. You said your card was also Visa too, so maybe Visa is just China Bank. Shit, that sounds about right. See, the thing is, mine was always MasterCard. But whenever I used to go to an ATM, it used to say MasterCard Visa on it. That's why I never really paid attention. So, maybe Visa might be a little bit harder to work with. He said a Visa and it was only China Bank. Okay. So, hey, the more you know, man, I appreciate you disseminating that information, because most of the time when I saw MasterCard, Visa was also on the ATM, and I never really thought twice about it. So maybe Visa might be a little bit different. Like I said, I can only speak for MasterCard, y'all. My bad. But anyways, like I said, if you find it on the machine, my rule of thumb, if you guys never watched this video of mine, my rule of thumb when it comes to ATMs, always use ATMs that are attached to banks and only go during the daytime, never at the nighttime. Because if your card get ate up by that machine, somebody got to get your shit back, right? You just never know what's going to happen. I mean, unless it is absolutely a dire emergency and you're willing to risk it all, I'm telling you, only then do you go to an ATM that is outside of a bank or not attached to a bank where people can physically open that machine up and get you your shit. Because I've seen it happen before. I've seen people get their cards stuck at ATMs at the mall and shit. And unless that bank is attached to that mall in one way, shape, or form, you know how long it'll take for them to find somebody to actually go get somebody to come over there and help you get your card back? Bruh, you're gonna be there for a hot minute. And I don't know how trusting you are, but I can't leave my card in the ATM machine, to go walk away and go find somebody. So now you're fucked. You're SOL. So always something to think about. But back to what I was saying about my newbies. Anybody who brand new to this travel shit, when it comes to budgeting your travel trip for the first time, I'll always say it till I'm blue in the face. I'm black as hell, but y'all get it. It's always good to have and not need than to need and not have, right? So I over prepare. I would always over prepare, right? And once I'm there, I'll be like, oh shit, I don't have enough. Okay, no problem, doc. You got this ATM. Let's go get you let's get you a little bit more, right? But always make sure you have access to ample amounts of cash. Again, everybody will ask you, what is an ample number? Like I said, guys, for me, 30 days, $100 a day, $3,000. That's a good starting point. At minimum, good starting point is about 3,000, right? 3,000 US dollars. I know, sounds crazy, right? Sounds blasphemous. I know it kills me to even say it out loud sometimes, because I know that my lifestyle will allow me not to spend that type of money every day. But in reality, I like to think about all my new guys, first-time travelers, right? They're not just going to go to any location, right? If you mentally think about it, as a new traveler, you're not just gonna go to any old random ass location. If you're smart, you'll stay in the city, right? In the beginning, you're gonna stay in the city, right? Because that's where mostly all the other foreigners hang out. If you're meeting a vlogger or a young lady, likely the city would be the area that's the most comfortable. I would hope it would be the most comfortable before you start transitioning into these more provincial areas that you know nothing about, right? So you're gonna spend a little bit of time in the city. So I'm thinking about city prices. I'm thinking about how much you're gonna pay them city prices for, right? Because it ain't gonna always be easy for you. Once you start to get into the provincial areas, maybe you stay at the family house or some shit if that's the type of vibe you're going for. Not recommending that at all. But you know, once you transition into smaller town life, I mean, you start to realize it's a little bit cheaper. But in that city, chances are you're gonna be paying city prices, right? So my first timers, you're gonna go in the city, you're gonna probably stay at a hotel that's near some shit, right? You're not just gonna stay on a hotel that's on the outskirts of anything. You want to stay somewhere in the heart of the city so that you're basically walking distance from damn near everywhere that you want to go. This is me channeling my inner newbie traveler. Not saying that all of these guys are like that, but this is the type of guy that I see in my mind as a newbie passport traveler. You're gonna want to stay in the area where everybody's at, where everything is popping. You want to be where the clubs are, but you don't want to be too far from where you're staying, right? So wherever that is, it's going to cost you a little bit, right? I would hope that you would get your money out the way. I'm sorry, as far as your accommodations, you'll pay for that outright. You'll make sure everything is good over there. It's something you ain't got to worry about. But that's it. Like you said, that's how you're going to plan accordingly. As a new guy, stay in the city. I'm going to have to pay city prices, right? This is how much I'm going to pay for the hotel, right? And if you actually plan your location correctly and all the activities around it, you know, transportation, you know, that's always going to be a unless you, like for Philippines, you can use Grab is awesome. We already know that. Taxis will probably try to finesse you a little bit. So not knowing how much you would spend on transportation, that's always going to be a iffy factor. I mean, there's so much that goes into traveling as a foreigner. It's enough to make your head spin, right? It's enough to make your head spin because you just don't know prices until you know prices, right? So that's why I like to say, man, this is things that you have to think about before you even set foot on a plane. Because if you're not careful, oh, guess what, my friend? You're going to find yourself spending money in areas where you didn't actually plan for that trip, right? Oh, shit, I thought I was going to spend like $20 in transportation. Come over here spending like $200 in transportation. I mean, granted, $200 is crazy as hell, but you're spending way more money in transportation than you actually thought that you would. So now you're like, shit, now I need more money. So, like I said, man, you're going to need to think about where you're staying at, traveling. Are you going to get around by foot? Are you going to get cars? Are you going to get a motorbike? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? And I mean, I don't want you to be overwhelmed with it, but I also don't want you to underprepare either. All right, passport life ain't all about just traveling, jumping off planes, going to hotel rooms, and getting all the girls, right? There's a little bit that goes into it. It's going to take a little bit for you to figure it out. Me, I lived in the Philippines for a long enough time to be able to figure out how to get around. But if you're new to it, you're going to stick to your taxis. You're going to stick to your Grabs. You're going to stick to shit like that, right? And rightfully so. And I'm pretty sure that right now with gas prices, I think they're still up in the Philippines. You're going to pay premium because guess what? Those Grab people got to be able to put gas in their tank, right? So, you know, there's a lot that goes into it, man. And I never want anybody to underprepare. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like it's a whole test, like you're over here doing a whole examination. But at the end of the day, this is really what it is. This is the beginning of something new for you, the beginning of a new opportunity. Unless you travel with somebody who's been there, done that, and you just trying this shit for the first time by yourself, yeah. These are things you got to do for you to make sure you're okay, right? Make sure those reviews on them hotels and shit that you staying on ain't fake, right? So there's a lot that goes into it, man. All right, I see my man Art in the background, brother. Give me a second. Hey, man, how's it going? Can you hear
Pretty
me?
good. How you doing?
Oh, all good, man. Pleasure to meet you, man.
Yeah, definitely. Mike put me onto your channel. So,
All right,
yeah.
it's my brother there, but go ahead, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, travel experiences, anything like that. All right.
Okay. So I've been to like 10 different countries. So I'll kind of go by like what was closest to then what's furthest from the States. So you can't really say your passport, bro, if you've been to Mexico, because almost everybody's been to Mexico. But I've been to Mexico, Canada.
Okay.
And then furthest was, well, I don't know about the furthest, but then I lived in Korea for about 5 years.
Okay.
So I then used that as a hub to then visit Japan, China, Thailand, Hong Kong, Macau, and then England, Italy, and France.
Okay. So I would honestly say, what were your top 3 out of all the places you've been so far? Your top 3.
Top 3 that I liked?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one. Oh man. I wanted to say I wanted to like Thailand, but the problem was I went with my ex, so you can't really have fun over there. But
sure.
The thing is, if I didn't go there with her, I would have probably liked it a lot more. I've only visited 3 different cities there. I didn't get a chance to check out Pattaya. I didn't get a chance to check out Phuket, but I did visit Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Chiang Rai.
All right. So, you've been to quite a few places. Can you think about, out of all of them, if you could do your top 3 for the most expensive, like, your top 3 most expensive places that you've been so far out of the countries you visited?
Japan is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Hong Kong is surprisingly up there. You're at the time. I don't know what the Hong Kong dollars are, but it's definitely not 1-to-1. That was actually surprisingly expensive. England is probably still the most expensive, I would say, but I still kept things at a budget. I didn't do $100 a day budget because all I did was just eat food. I didn't like buy anything that was really worthy of entertainment. The only thing I did for entertainment, like to pay admission fee, is to like go inside. I didn't actually know. I couldn't even get inside the Westminster Abbey. Go inside St. Paul's Cathedral. I paid about €12 for that.
Okay.
Then you got the River Thames cruise, which is you're pretty much paying to be on a boat on brown water, pretty much. kind of similar to the crap. I forgot the name of the river in Chiang Mai. That water was also brown.
So it wasn't a lot to see, pretty much.
England was all right, but it wasn't it was not my favorite country. I'd actually rate Italy being my favorite European country to visit, even though I visited 3. Unless you count the Vatican. That's a country in itself.
True that. I would have thought that South Korea would have been up there as far as expensive to an extent.
You can get by easily. You can get by with about $100 a day. I was able to. So when I first got there, the difference is like I didn't have to pay for an Airbnb because when I taught English over there, they already furnished an apartment. So there, that helps me save. So the only thing I really had to factor was like the utilities, but everything else, yeah. If you just once in a while if you're gonna drink over there, just do it once a week. Don't do it too often. A lot of expats seem to make that mistake. Just do it maybe once a week and you're fine. You can get by with about $100 a day in Korea. I don't know now after 2020, it could be a lot more expensive now with the inflation rate. So I'm going by before the 9.5% inflation rate. I don't even know what it is now, but last I checked, it was 9.5%. But before that, it's still the same. Yeah, before that, you can definitely get by in Korea for about $100 a day. Probably even less if you're outside of Seoul.
Man, so you visited a lot of places. Which one was surprisingly the cheapest? We talked about surprisingly the cheapest. Based off of, like I said, activities are different, but like I said, but
China, I would say China.
Okay.
China, I would say it's on the. You know what? I would say it's either China and Thailand is pretty similar, but I would say now I would say China is probably going to be more expensive. But before then, it seemed cheaper. Going on the Great Wall, that didn't cost a lot. Like me going on the Eiffel Tower in France, that costed about I can't figure out the conversion rate right now. But that costed about 15 euros.
Okay.
So, it wasn't that bad. Great Wall, maybe less than 10.
Okay, so it wasn't too drastically bad. It was just enough for your typical tourist prices, I guess, for the area.
That's what they try to get you on. Yeah.
Right. So every place that you went to, I assume, with the exception of a couple, was for business or for your work, or these were just places that you traveled. So you just travel. Okay, so Korea was where you went to in order to actually work. Are you currently there now or not? Not now.
I'm in the States now, but I'm looking to get a digital nomad visa. But with my current job, it's kind of hard to do because I got to work on site. I was hoping to become a remote recruiter, but that looks like that's not going to happen. But it is what it is. I'm still looking at the route of possibly front end development. I want to stay 100% remote. I don't want to be obligated to work in an office or anything. I'm getting tired of that.
That is true. Any place that you went to that had internet that you struggled with? All things dealing with work and stuff. Was there any place that you kind of had like very shoddy internet? I mean, because if you're going to live the digital nomad lifestyle, you got to make sure that your locations have solid internet and make sure the net speeds and all of that stuff are up to par. So any place that really kind of made you a little nervous when you were there, as far as the internet's concerned?
Not that I know of. Thailand, I would say no, because when I visited Chiang Mai, that's considered like the digital nomad capital of the world. So that wasn't really an issue. I would say maybe if you went to Chiang Rai, but the problem with Chiang Rai is I didn't really, use it to have access to my laptop or anything like that, or to go, I just went there to go check out a white temple. I only went to Chiang Rai to do one thing, and that was to check out a white temple because it stood out. That was it. I didn't care after that. I was like, all right, I'm going back to Chiang Mai after that. Maybe if you go to the Golden Triangle, maybe you have shoddy Wi-Fi. But again, I didn't use any of my devices for business over there. I will say one thing that was a pain in the ass was in Italy and France and maybe even England. Every time I would go inside a cafe, I would always ask if they had Wi-Fi. I would always continuously ask if they had Wi-Fi just to like just to access internet on my phone.
Right.
I was like, crap, this doesn't work. And I tried, then I was like, okay, so I can't get a Wi-Fi signal. So I'm trying to use the 5G. I don't know where we're on now. I think we're on 5G. So I try to use the 5G and I'm like, I still can't get a signal.
Man, that's a pain in the ass. I do believe that anybody that's traveling outside, that will be something that, just an internet connection, maybe not the speed of it, but just being able to connect, period, could be something that's very difficult. But going back to the digital nomadic lifestyle, I mean, one of the things, and I think that you would probably be best suited to answer this question, but one thing that really gets me about the lifestyle is sometimes you find yourself in a box where you're in a foreign country where you're trying to experience beautiful things, but maybe you're locked into work, right? Maybe you're indoors roughly more hours of the day than you're actually outside enjoying. I mean, do you find that being somewhat of the issue, or you kind of give yourself, I'm here for X amount of hours. Once I'm done, I'm shutting down and I'm able to go around and explore? Because a lot of guys don't do that. Because if they're new to it, they want to make sure they have as much money as humanly possible. If you are on an hourly basis or, based on contracts, whatever it may be, and, I want to knock this out so I can make sure I have some money to be able to enjoy. I kind of know that a lot of guys have a struggle with that one. But what do you recommend, or how did you figure would work best for that type of lifestyle? It
also depends on your age too. If you're coming in your early 20s or something like that, yeah, of course, get as much done as you can. Accumulate as much wealth. So if you're like in your mid 30s or something like that, and you don't have a family, well, you should be doing digital nomad if you have a family. But if you don't, if you don't have a family and you're doing it, just work at the hours. I hate how they call it quiet quitting, but quiet quit if you're on an hourly basis, if you're on an hourly wage, quiet quit, which pretty much means work to the hours, and that's it. Don't work more than that. And then whatever time you have, enjoy yourself. Because here's the thing, you're not obligated to be anywhere. You can either
Mm-hmm.
work from home or find a co-working office not too far from where you live.
Right.
So yeah, you're not even obligated. So you don't have to worry about running into traffic. You don't have the stress of that. And if you do run into traffic, again, you're not obligated to be somewhere on someone's company time.
Right.
You're doing it on your own time. So that's
Correct.
one thing that digital nomads, and I haven't had experience, but that's what I plan to do. If I
Okay.
become.
All right. Man, so how many years did you end up staying in Korea doing the
Teaching English?
teaching English? There you go. Sorry.
Yeah, I stayed there for 5 years. I thought about staying longer, but I saw that Korea was starting to become quite. I wouldn't say that was the only reason, but I saw that it was starting to become feminized.
Okay.
The budget for public school teachers, especially native English teachers coming in from where English is spoken as a primary language, that started to dry up, and it started to reappropriate towards the private schools, or they'll call it cram schools. And working for cram schools, I haven't worked for one, but I've heard stories of people who worked from a couple of cram schools who transitioned from the public schools, and they didn't like it. There's actually always complaints and stuff on the Facebook group about, hey, this director did this to me. What can I do to get reimbursed? All these things. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of glad I left.
Yeah, that seems, and well, that's also something to take into consideration as well if you're looking to work abroad and you're trying to teach English, because I would say that's probably in the top 3 easiest ways to get abroad and also have an income is to teach English in foreign countries. Get your TESOL and your TEFL certifications. But yeah, that's also going to be right. So that's always going to be, for me, one of the biggest issues. Like, was that even an issue at all for you, or that was just more of what you heard from other people? Like, did you ever have any issues with who you worked for in any regards? I'm not saying go into names or any details or anything, but explain, because for me, like I said, I considered it before I became a full-time teacher here in the United States. I considered it because I figured that would be a good way to get abroad and work from there. But what would you say from your experience in Korea that really good or bad in reference to teaching English?
So every public school that I worked for, so I worked for about 3 different public schools. Actually, no, 2 was a public school, 1 was a pseudo school. The reason why I call it a pseudo public, because I was still under government contract to get paid by the state, even though it was a Catholic school, which I didn't like, because they wanted me to attend mini masses and stuff. And I was like, I didn't want to do this.
I feel you.
Yeah, that was required. They didn't make me do that on a Sunday. Sunday I can do whatever the hell I want. Because I was transitioning to get out of Catholicism and going into, I still haven't yet, but I'm looking to probably get into, not to get too much into religion, but I may go into Eastern Orthodox.
Okay.
And I've actually been researching. I was like, man, is there an Eastern Orthodox church in Tagaytay? Because Tagaytay was one of the destinations I have interest in, just because it's cooler than Manila in terms of weather. Because Korea's summer, like, oh, man, you want to see me at my worst? Hang out with me during the summer in Korea. I'm one of the worst. I'm either the worst boyfriend. I'm either one of the worst friends. I'm either one of the worst employees. I'm either one of the worst teachers. I'm also one of the worst students. And I'm like,
I get it.
Yeah, it's awful. And I heard Manila is even worse in terms of the summer weather.
Yeah, it gets pretty hot. But what I've learned is, being back in the United States, the hot here is dry. The hot there, super humid, super humid. So it gets hotter in the United States based on degrees, but as far as how it feels, the moisture in the air, I don't know what it is. The tropical climate, that stuff hits you differently. That's one thing that I can't say. I'm not sure if it's the same in Korea, but there's something about the humidity in the air during the hot summer times. You're sweating profusely, probably changing your shirts 2 or 3 times a day, or like they used to say, we used to go to the mall to get the free air conditioning and stuff like that. So you have people that like to hang out in the malls during this time of the year. So yeah, it gets pretty bad. But I would expect that Korea would get as bad as it does too, because I know it gets super cold. That I do know. It snows, right? So I would assume that their summer months are probably just as bad.
Extreme winters, extreme summers, and very good in between. Very good spring, um, even a good fall if you like wind and breeze. So I would say it's a very good fall, but it's like very short. It's like less than 2 months. The spring is my favorite season, but again, it rarely hits 3 months. I don't think I've even seen the spring season hit 3 months over there, and then the summer can fluctuate between 3 months to almost to 4 months, and there was one time that it went to 5 months. And when it went to five, even during Halloween, because I remember one time it was Halloween, and it was still, and I was still found myself using off spray, and because mosquitoes, and it was still nasty. And it's not only the humidity, but it's also the pollution. It's a combination of the humidity and the pollution. It just makes it god awful. And that was one of the deal breakers. I'm still interested in the Philippines, but it is one of the deal breakers is that muggy weather. But Tagaytay, I've heard good things about Tagaytay. I've heard pretty good things about Baguio. I don't know.
You're right. It's Baguio. Yeah, for sure. It gets pretty. It's like one of the places that actually has that real crisp, cool weather. It's one of those types of areas. So it really is a stark contrast to what you would probably find in most areas in the Philippines where it gets really hot. So that's one of the few areas that, I would recommend if that's the type of weather you're looking for, because like I said, Philippines, you get 2 seasons, man. You get the hot summers and then the rainy seasons. And those are no jokes, because that's what they're going through right now with the typhoons and stuff like that. It becomes a complete disaster. And it's almost like guaranteed that a typhoon's going to hit anywhere around the September, October time. It's almost like you can set a clock to it. Sometimes it's unfortunate. Sometimes it hits, some of the same areas, but it hits different areas from time to time. Earthquakes, not always everybody's favorite. They don't hit as often as it has in the past, but when they do hit, your 6.5 magnitude, the last one. So it has its ups and downs, but overall, I do believe if you can get past the weather, because that's always going to hit you first, you should be able to have a pretty overall wonderful experience in the country. I like to believe so. Everybody should have one overall, but like I said, that weather's going to be a hard one for a lot of people to overcome.
Have you been to Tagaytay in the summer?
Not yet. But the thing I would say this though, the first time I've ever been to the Philippines though, like the weather, because of how different it is, man, it like, I don't know, it's like your skin it's like it itches and stuff like that because your body's not used to the weather in that particular country. So like I said, I think when I first went there, I was transitioning from winter in the United States to that type of weather. And, that could be a stark transition. So, it could be a little difficult just to adjust for those first couple of days. But overall, it's not too bad. Like, I can't imagine any place where you're not going to have probably that hot experience other than, like you said, your Tagaytays and your Baguios. And there's also a small place I recommend it, but don't recommend it because there's nothing there. And Davao is called Buda, Buda. Yeah, that's literally, people just go there just to look at the forest. If you're into, the not wildlife, but if you're into like forests and just like trekking and exploring, that's one of the places people go for that as well. But it's really cool up there. It's kind of like going up and ascending on a mountain. So it's kind of got a little chill to it, but it's pretty much an overall great place. I recommend you come check it out one day. Like I said, if you want to.
So that's in Davao?
Yes. But as far as the Philippines overall, man, I'm always going to advocate, man. It's not a bad place at all. But like I said, you've seen a lot of different places, man. And I think which one, like I said, the one that you enjoyed the most out of all of the places you went to, which one did you enjoy the most? You
so
said
far,
Thailand, right? Or no?
Part of me wants to say Thailand, but I'm going to say Italy for now, just because the thing with Thailand is, had I gone by myself, I probably would have said I would have enjoyed Thailand more, but I didn't get a chance to experience a lot of what I wanted to. Heck, I didn't get a chance to check out the Wat Arun in Bangkok. I did see the Grand Palace and the Wat Po, but not the bigger one, the Wat Arun. and
okay.
I kind of resent her for that one.
Just
So
tell her it's her fault.
I'm going to revisit Thailand again, and I'll probably have a much different opinion. I still liked it. I like the food.
Right.
And I've even told Austin. I don't know if you know Austin is one of the passport bros.
Right.
I told him, you know, because he did say something about that the portions were smaller in Pattaya, but I was like, yeah, you're in Pattaya, man. You want to go to Chiang Mai to get the bigger portions, you know, for food and stuff.
And I think that I know he's, you know, heavy into the South America, you know, countries and stuff like that. And when I saw a couple of his videos, I was like, yeah, I said there are probably gonna be some things that he's not gonna like. Like I can tell you right now, like I said, the portion sizes, that's pretty much, I want to say, in most Asian countries where you're not going to get large portion sizes. So if that's a thing for you, that could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. So
I hear you. Hey, what I wanted to reach out to you also, because Mike also joined the Discord as well. I don't know if you managed to share the link, but I would like to share, you know, the Discord link. So it's to a group called the Enlightened Western Men. It's Austin's group. Okay. So what it is, you know, it should also help you get more eyes on your channel as well.
Perfect.
Because yeah, when you're about to go live or something like that, just like post the link, you know, in either the main channel or the Philippines channel, because we have a Philippines channel under the server.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I think you can get more eyes on that. Let me see if I can get the link, and then I'll put that in the private chat.
Okay. Perfect. Like I said, guys, I appreciate you guys locking in, man. I'm not going to hold them very longer, man. Me and you, we can talk a little bit offline and stuff.
Oh,
hey,
okay.
Guys, sure, we're good, bro. We appreciate it, man. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys locking in, man. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like on your way out. We appreciate you guys locking in. Y'all take care, man. Y'all stay blessed. Doc is out.
All right. I'm still on. Okay. Here we go. Let me get that for you here.